I just finished watching Hit 3 and came straight from the theaters to write this review. And if there's one thing I must say, it's this. Hit 3 is NANI's absolute rampage. NANI is one of the biggest superstars of the Telugu film industry. He is not just a brilliant actor, he's the pride of Telugu cinema. That's the simplest and most powerful way I can define what NANI means to us. He's one of the greatest treasures to our film industry. Someone who has patiently waited for opportunities that others may have received more easily. But he also richly deserves this, His incredible script choices, his dedication to acting profession, and his sheer versatility. That is NANI. He embodies everything you'd want in a leading man, and Hit 3 is exactly his ultimate rampage. Let me give you a brief rundown of the story. Hit 3 introduces us to the third cop in the ever-revolving, the gritty Hit franchise. This time the narrative revolves around Arjun Sarkar, a complex and intense character brought to life by none other than NANI. Known for his fierce determination and unrelenting methods, Arjun is drawn into a harrowing investigation that pushes him to his limits, both mentally and physically. He is tasked to unraveling these dark layers of a chilling case involving a powerful underground organization that's not only committing a series of brutal murders, but is also deeply entrenched with heinous act of illegal organ smuggling. That's the disturbing and the gripping premise that kickstarts the film. But it doesn't stop there. As the story unfolds, we are taken on this relentless ride of world of shadows, and we take side with Arjun Sarkar. Now let's talk about one of the strongest aspects of Hit 3, the violence. It's genuinely impactful, Doesn't feel like an afterthought or a compromise. One of my long-standing frustrations with the thriller or psycho murder genre is, especially in Indian cinema, is how frequently the violence is toned down or stylized to a point of detachment. But why do you do that when the very essence of these genres is to build on confronting the brutality head on? When you're telling a story that dives deep into the dark corners of the society, the rot, the inhumanity, the sheer horror of it all maybe, then why do you need to show it in a toned down sanitizing way? It just weakens the message, don't you think? Thankfully, Hit 3 understands this responsibility. It doesn't hold back, and more importantly, it doesn't romanticize the violence either. The rawness, the grit, the sheer unforgiving nature of it all is executed with conviction. It wraps the brutality not in just spectacle, but in realism that makes it hit even harder. Especially the final 40 minutes of the film is a noticeable shift in the tone, It becomes less about style and more about sheer survival, and how Arjun Sarkar's character is angered towards everything. He unleashes this storm of fury and physicality. He doesn't just act the part, he embodies the rage. Man pushed to the edge, watching him tear through the climax like a dam burst. Feel every blow, you feel every drop of tension released through well-crafted action cinematography and choreography. Honestly, it's one of the most brutal, visceral, well-shot and brutally grounded action sequences Telugu cinema has delivered in a long time. That said, if I had to nitpick one thing, it's very minor, but it would be the CGI blood. This is one of the things that doesn't completely ruin the moment, but does make your brain pause momentarily. In scenes where slow motion is used, especially during high octane action, the artificial nature of the blood becomes noticeable. Our visual effects is not that kind of great. We are good, but not that kind of great where the seamlessly integrating CGI with live action in fast-paced sequences just look sharp, Some camera angles blur the action to the point where you can spot the digital layering, and the momentary lapse in immersion is just enough to pull you out of an otherwise gripping scene. Certain frames look convincingly done, while the others, particularly the ones in the dimly lit and fast-moving sequences, it feels like plastic because of the CGI that is used there. So that's how it feels when you use that CGI fake blood. Coming back to the story, let's make one thing absolutely clear. Hit 3 isn't just a chapter in a franchise. It's a vehicle crafted with laser focus to showcase one man, NANI. This isn't your traditional investigative thriller where the protagonist is simply a piece in a larger puzzle. No, in most thrillers it's often the crime, the gruesomeness of it, the mystery surrounding it, the psychology of the killer, that becomes the central attraction. The cop or the detective is typically a lens through which the story unfolds. But Hit 3 flips that structure on its head, and here Nani is the story. Every scene, every plot twist, every flash of brutality is designed to orbit around him. That's why I firmly believe Hit 3 isn't just a thriller. It's a full-blown action rampage engineered just to let Nani tear through the screen as Arjun Sarkar. Now, before watching the film, I happened to scroll through some early reviews and online discussions. A few people were talking about how violence is often celebrated in other industries, especially in Bollywood or Tamil or the Malayalam audience, where the audience erupts in cheers when a punch lands, when the gun fires. There's a theatrical to it, these kind of love that they do it to it. But strangely in Telugu cinema, we still feel like we're walking on eggshells when it comes to violence. When our cinema is introduced to them, it's as if we're subconsciously tethered by the unwritten rules, the cultural, the cinematic, even social stuff that they try to put on us. That prevents us from going all out. We hesitate, we worry, we tone things down. Somewhere we seem to fear that certain boundaries make us look broken, as if it was something who we never were. But Hit 3 bloodily ignores everything. It doesn't tiptoe around these invisible lines. It crosses them, drags them into the dirt, and shows what violence actually means. And this time, people were saying that, oh god, story is more important, violence is not. Maybe just focus on the 3-month-old or the last year violence that you saw in Malayalam and Tamil cinema. You enjoyed then, right? Why not here? The weakest link. You see, BGM and music, if there's one component of Hit 3 that left me underwhelmed, it's the background score and music composed by Mickey J. Meyer. Now let me make one thing absolutely clear. Mickey J. Meyer is phenomenally talented music director. His legacy, his melodious contribution is good. His ability to craft emotional resonance soundtracks are not up for debate, But here's the thing. He wasn't the right fit for this genre or this film. Hit 3 is a dark, intense and a high voltage crime action film. It's grounded. At the same time, it has its own hero emotions as well. And to elevate such a film, especially one which is heavily reliant on its central character's rage and energy, you need a BGM that punches through the screen, right? A score that not only follows the character's footsteps but charges ahead of him, pulling the audience into the storm. But sadly here, the score feels too subdued, too polished, and at times entirely disconnected from the emotional tone of the scene. It becomes especially noticeable in the hero elevation sequences, those crucial moments where the audience is supposed to erupt in goosebumps, fist clenching, adrenaline spiking. These moments beg for the score that's loud, pulsating and ferocious, something that mirrors Nani's simmering intensity as Arjun Sarkar. But what we get instead is a background track that feels like it's holding back, afraid to roar, and that's when the BGM fails to roar. To talk about the supporting cast, which in contrast is handled surprisingly well in Hit 3. One of the recurring issues in Telugu thrillers and action dramas is just how the secondary characters are written. They often feel like the checkbox inclusions there to deliver exposition, add body count, or just pad the runtime. But Hit 3 genuinely avoids that trap. Every character feels like they belong to the world that's been built. And then we come to Srinidhi Shetty playing Arjun's romantic character. Now this could have been one of the most typical romantic subplots that feels so forced or drag of the pace of a thriller. But instead, it's handled with a surprising amount of maturity and subtlety and subtlety. There's no unnecessary drama, no overblown romantic dialogues, and definitely no cringe attempts at comedic relief. What we get is a realistic emotional bond, one that enhances the human side of Arjun Sarkar without softening his core. The mother angle was a bit cringe, bit unbelievable with the AI and all, but overall it feels naturally done. That's why I say Sailesh should actually work on a romantic film, He's going to do good, like loudly good with it. Now, final thoughts. As Nani himself has said, Hit is going to be a multi-film universe, something like an Avengers style franchise with interconnected stories and characters. And Hit 3 sets up that perfectly, and the groundwork has already been laid. It's exciting to see where it's headed. So what's my final verdict? Go to the theaters, watch this rampage of Nani. Whether you're a diehard Nani fan or just who someone loves Telugu cinema, this film is something for you. It's bold, brutal, relentless, and completely worth your time. Thank you for this. I'll see you in the next video.